Hey guys, Ben here. Welcome back to another live stream. Today we are live with the DCTV show episode 123. We got Andy, Super Andy in the building. We got DC Central, aka Deck. They are joining me. Sorry for no live stream last week, but we are rectifying and talking about some topics that came out last week as well as this week. So it's going to be, like one big kind of roundup. And we've actually got like some really good topics to talk about. I was just saying to the guys, there's definitely some interesting ones. But how are you guys doing? And what have you been up to? Anything interesting? Just to start the stream.
Yeah, I mean,
same old.
I'm doing what I'm always doing, which is working. And not making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because I've had like 2 holidays in the past like 2 months and not a single video has come out of that. I actually did start, I got halfway through recording one a few days ago.
Yeah.
And then my little nephew, who I live with, just walked into my room, just barged in and just cut it off halfway through, and then I had to go and do something else. Well, it's like, because then I had to go, and it was like, so I was like, I couldn't finish it. I have half a video recorded that I can't do anything with, so it's like
fair enough. What about you, Andy? I've seen some of your articles recently. Some good articles.
Yeah, I'm just working too. The only reason I put this on was because the last time I was on the show, I had like a mountain of hair, and now I've shaved it, but I just saw like, oh fuck, my forehead is like enormous. I don't want to look at that. So I was like, this was just lying around. I'm just like, oh, it's how fitting that we're talking about Superman. But I need a bandana. I'm like, it's actually here. So no, but I've been good. Just working, playing CS. Ben, we need you back. We need you back.
Yeah, my internet is so bad. I was saying, like, I can't.
I don't want you like when you're like international. I want you when you're back at your damn own house, and you can cuss along with me and so on. Guys, I will confirm he is pretty good at the game. Like he came back, we played a few games, and he was like, "Oh shit, I haven't played for so many years." And then he gets a bunch of headshots, and I'm like, "This motherfucker." He's like,
"Yeah, I was."
You're like, "I'm not even that good."
He's been secretly grinding behind the scenes for years.
Yeah.
No, bit by bit over the years, just playing like 2 games. But yeah, anyway, welcome guys to all of you who are joining us. Remember, you can send in super chats throughout the live stream and you'll be popped up on the stream and we'll answer you straight away. Obviously, we've got our main topics to talk about, and shout out to everyone that's a member who is joining the stream. Nathan is here. He says, "Hi, Andy. You joining Ben on stream?" Yes.
Yeah, I begged. I saw that he was like, "Oh yeah, I can come on for once."
Yep. No, I mean, you guys are the 2 regulars. I feel like the most, and then maybe Chainsaw next. But yeah, so okay, let's talk about the first main topic. Let's just jump right into it because it is a big topic. And so there was that report that came out. I don't remember when it came out. It was quite recent, but that Superman Lois, according to Brad Schwartz, one of the top guys at the CW now, he said that it came from Warner Brothers, the reason why Superman Lois had to end with season 4. So obviously you can interpret it as you will, like if it's a good thing, if it's a bad thing. Obviously he kind of said like it's to do with Superman legacy. They don't want 2 Supermans at the same time, but then people pointed out, okay, you're going to have 2 Batmans at the same time with Brave and the Bold and the Batman 2 most likely. And it's happened many times in the past that you have, the Flash and the Flash at the same time and various other characters. So what do you guys make of this? What do you make of Superman Lois supposedly being like told to end by Warner Brothers and not the CW, when we all thought it was the CW making like, a decision because it's too expensive? But he said they could have continued making the show. But do you believe him? Let me know, guys. All right, Andy, you go first, maybe.
Okay. I understand that on the outside this looks really bad. I mean, because again, I come from the small days when we were constantly told, no, you can't have Batman on the show because people will be confused if it's not Christian Bale. You can't have Wonder Woman. You can't have this character. But in the case of Superman Lois, I think it's a very different spectrum right now because of I think that it's cute that Bradford is like basically, because just for context, so people know what this was about. This was during the Television Critics Association last week.
Yeah.
And executives, they want to look good. They want to get people hyped for their next slate of programming and so on. And of course, he would say something. Again, I don't think he's lying that it came from Warner, but I do think it was also like he didn't seem.
Maybe didn't fight back. Do you think?
I mean, they can't really fight back that much. If Warner Brothers, who owns the property, says, we're canceling it, the CW can't really do anything about it. But at the same time, I don't think the people running the new CW are exactly crying their eyes out about this. I think I would be surprised if they're kind of relieved. They're like, this expensive show. And the thing is, like, yeah, I mean, it was because it's still CW's fault that we had to lose all those cast members and that they had to trim the budget, and there's still other shit to come. So I think the narrative I'm kind of hating with the most with this is that it's all James Gunn's fault. No, it's not. He has no.
I think it's Zaslav's probably.
It's probably Zaslav and Chang and Dungy, who's the chairwoman of Warner Brothers TV. So I'm if anything, it's more their involvement. Again, like if theoretically James could, if he wanted to, he could bring back Tyler Hoechlin as Superman in any party he does, but he cannot. He has no legal jurisdiction to say, "Hey, CW, you must cancel the show."
You end.
Yeah, like because he spoke highly of the show last year at the press event where he if we want to get technical, he did say, I think the show has 1 or 2 more seasons in it, and I think season 3 was easily included in that. So again, I understand that people are frustrated. It sucks that Warner Bros. Had this, they're going back now 20 years and thinking people are going to be confused and so on. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I would have, because what if this season had suffered in ratings and we got a season 5 and then it gets even more affected in financial restrictions and what they can do and so on. Like, look, we only have 10 episodes. We have 5 series regulars and we barely know anything about this final season. So it sucks, but I think it was a no that the show was always going to end either this year or with season 5. But yeah, the fact that the Warner Bros. Has also been so quiet about this is like they're probably pretty, like, Brad, like, the fuck, why, like it's almost like a game of, they're probably mad. But yeah, I understand people's frustration, but I think it's also like I think the writing was on the wall the entire time.
Yeah, Deck, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, this to me sounds like Warner Brothers just being Warner Brothers at this point. They, like, historically throughout the history of DCTV, and obviously us three will all be very familiar with this, but their rules on what characters could be used in multiple formats and which characters could not fluctuated week to week. Like, it would literally be a thing like, I remember, like, on Arrow, there was like times when, you can use Deathstroke. No, you can't use Deathstroke. You can use him again. No, you can have the 2 episodes and that's it. Like, it was always like that. And even on Arrow, we were going to get a Suicide Squad storyline at one point, which then had to get completely axed.
Yeah, no Harley Quinn, right? Was that?
Yeah, there was a tease for Harley Quinn in season 3, and that didn't go anywhere. So this to me just sounds typical them. And like you say, it's also just really contradictory because they don't want, the whole quote, the quote was they don't want a competing Superman in the marketplace. But as Andy said, we're getting Brave and the Bold Batman movie coming up, and then also Matt Reeves' The Batman trilogy going on. What gives? I do believe Brad Schwartz, though, because Warner Brothers, particularly at the moment, are just in shambles as a company. So their business practices, what they're doing, everything that's happened pretty much since Zaslav came in has just been an absolute clusterfuck. And I think that this just adds to that. So yeah, it seems to me like this is probably true. But it just again shows that Warner Brothers are just being idiots at the moment.
Yeah,
more so.
And I feel like sorry if I'm lagging out, guys. Like I said, bad internet, but I feel that Warner Brothers, like, every time they come up with some stupid excuse like this, like, I feel like it's an excuse, right? Because I don't know, maybe they value Superman and Lois, maybe they don't, maybe they think, okay, let's just like only have Superman Legacy. But as you said, like the Batman Brave and the Bold, you've had the Flash on at the same time that the Flash was appearing in the DCEU. They've said this so many times, and you were talking about the restrictions on like the CW, for instance. I don't think it's always been so one-sided. It's always been all for the films, and they've never given any kind of leeway to the TV shows when they weren't wanting to use certain characters, right? Or maybe it's like the Flash, and Grant Gustin appeared first, so that's how we can continue using the Flash. If Ezra's Flash came first, like that would have probably been the main Flash, and we wouldn't have been allowed to get a TV show. But yeah, I just feel like this is just typical Warner Brothers. And, I like the films they make. I think, they make some good projects, some good TV shows. Obviously, I love the Arrowverse, but I think the higher ups and those in charge, like they make some really questionable choices. And we've seen that a lot recently. Obviously, there was those new reports as well that apparently Warner Brothers is looking to sell, and they can potentially start looking for a buyer in April. That was a recent report. And they just bought out like Tom Cruise with like a new deal, and then they also bought Margot Robbie, which apparently, according to, I think it was a Variety report, is them trying to big up their catalog and have more A-class talent so that they can sell it for a higher price. It's just stupid, like this whole thing. So what do you guys make of that in regards to them like trying to build up their portfolio and then sell it again?
I mean, financially, even though I don't like David Zaslav, if I was in this position and looking to sell Warner Bros. Or trying to merge or something, yeah, I would do the same thing. I would try to get as much talent as I could in my toolbox and sign as many overall deals as possible. Because I think it sucks that we, as fans or as people who just enjoy these things, like, yeah, it looks like very shallow. But if we're thinking like financially, that this is smart. I don't really like Tom Cruise, but I understand why David Zaslav would want to try to sign up for something. Margot Robbie, of course, with Barbie blowing up, and especially if they go home with a lot of Academy Awards this year. They're good, Margot Robbie will be at Warner Bros. For a long time. So, but again, but this is the thing also people have to understand is that yes, they can potentially look for companies to merge with or to buy or sell to, but also that has to be proved by, because again, it all becomes about monopoly at some point, because otherwise Disney could just own everything that exists in Hollywood, and they can't. So I kind of I don't want another merger. We barely survived this recent one. I mean, I don't even feel like we're really done with them.
We're like in the middle of it, so.
But that would be a godsend if we're even in the middle of it, right? I feel like we're like 25% in, and David is like, oh, I have more things to do, but yeah, I'm just worried about like how this might affect, I mean, with the notion that DC Studios is now able to operate a little more separately from WB, where like they can't just jump in as much as they did with DC films, that makes me feel a little bit safe about it, but. Yeah. I'm just tired, I'm just so tired of mergers and sales and, selling this off and this off. I'm like, I just want content, y'all. Like, this is a dry year because of the strike, Which again, I'm not blaming the people who went on strike. I'm blaming the studios for not complying sooner to those deals. So, but yeah, Warner Bros. Is going to Warner Bros., I guess. Like, they consider.
Yeah, I think that is just the consensus. They're just doing their typical thing. And in regards to Superman and Lois, quick, just before we move on to the next topic, I just think it's a shame, like, if they were forced into it. But like you were saying, I believe that Brad is actually telling the truth here. And I do feel like the CW probably didn't push back enough like we would like to. But we all knew, as Andy said, the writing has been on the walls for quite a while now that it was either going to be this season or next season that Superman Lois would end. But yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Once again, you can send in super chats to be answered on stream, and we'll be sure to get round to them straight away. But yeah, let's move on to the next main topic. So next topic is in regards to Superman and Lois again. We got the official news recently that season 4 is coming, but not in the summer like some of us speculated, because obviously they finished filming in April. That is where they're supposed to finish. And we just expected maybe summer, but also in the back of, I think, all of our minds is either summer or fall aka autumn. So probably Superman Lois season 4 is going to be coming out in October. They're also going to promote it at, I believe, the upfronts before. So they talked about all of that. Andy, do you want to get into this?
I'm sorry, about like specifically
Just season 4 coming in.
I mean, I think that it was always a miracle if it had arrived in the summer, because they just start in January. I know that it's gonna be a long way, but I'm actually kind of happy we're waiting to the fall, because that means that they can finish post production, and hopefully we can have 10 weeks in the fall with no of these random hiatuses, and just have a clean consecutive run of the season, because I feel that's been one of the biggest villains in Superman Lois' entire run, is the hiatuses, because either there's been problems on set with production, or they're still finishing the effect and so on, because this show is again, this is why we had to have budget cuts, because it is very expensive. So I'm hoping that by waiting till the fall, we get all these 10 episodes back to back, and we can kind of just we say goodbye to the to Greg Berlanti's little franchise as we go to 2025. If they keep doing a bunch of hiatus and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna run Superman Lois into 2025, I'll be like, okay, here we go again. I'm hoping for too much. So
yeah,
but yeah, I'm hoping I'm hoping they're at the upfronts and they do some stuff. If one positive uptick is that this could be the first, probably only year that they could have a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, because they never got to have that because of the pandemic. So but yeah, I think that makes sense. That it has it in fall. Like it could, and fall could be like it could be September, it could be October, as far as we know. So
normally October. So
with this CW, I don't like because they're bringing back they have shows now coming back in April and May and stuff like that. So it's I'm glad we just now know at least like what they're looking at in terms of window release.
Deck, what do you make of it?
I think this actually shows tremendous confidence in this season. Not only because they're allowing the VFX team to obviously have more time to work on it, but if you remember back to obviously like the prime days of the Arrowverse, it was always October. Like they always started in October, and the CW, like a lot of their flagship franchise shows, they always began in October. All the stuff they had in the summer was often stuff that they weren't as sure about, or stuff that they were kind of trialing or whatever. It was always, their big shows debuted in October. So I think that the fact that this is happening in October, I think it just shows that Warner Brothers want to put their best foot forward with it, and the CW. So I think this October release date, it makes sense. It's what they're used to, I guess, for their big superhero shows.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's a prime spot for them. I think naturally TV does better in the fall and the winter than in the summer, because obviously more people are indoors rather than out. So I think it's a great idea, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and like you were saying, Andy, with 10 episodes in a row, like, to be honest, like, I'm okay with it being in the fall, just because I don't want the show to end. Like, in a weird way, like, I prefer to wait longer, and then, the show will come later.
Are you in denial, Benjamin? Are you in denial?
Yeah, I'm in denial. No, every time an Arrowverse show ends, I'm in denial. I'm like, okay, delay it. But I wouldn't be opposed to, like, a 1 week break in between would be nice. Maybe between like
we've had enough hiatuses, Ben. Like
I know, but nothing disruptive like what they did in the past on Superman Lois.
Like season 1 with the aired 5 episodes, and then like, oh, now Supergirl is back for a couple of weeks, and then we come back with Superman Lois season 1. It's oh my god! Can you?
Wasn't there one section of a season? Was it season 2 where like it would air 1 week, it wouldn't air for two weeks?
It was every season, Ben.
Yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. So when you're like, oh my god, I think we should have at least a 1 week break. I'm like, no, fuck you. We don't need that. We've been through it. We're done. Exactly. October to December, just let's just be a clean break, clean run, because CW has traumatized us forever. Because I don't. If they keep doing all these breaks, I don't think I will watch season 4 live. I will just wait until it gets to max.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that.
I'm not letting CW bully me anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Michael was on the same kind of level as you. He's saying, I'm so looking forward to it, but I'm so upset. It'll be the reason why I won't be watching the CW anymore. I just pray it's going to be very good. Well, if I'm getting this right, Michael, are you talking about how Warner Brothers stepped in? So obviously that's not really CW's fault, but CW has done so much to the Arrowverse. Obviously, they cancelled loads of shows. Like we could still be having, 3 shows on at least right now. But yeah, I'm not going to be watching the CW afterwards. That's for goddamn sure. Unless there's another DC show, which
No,
Warner Brothers aren't going to make any deals with them.
If you want DC shows, they will be on Max.
On Max, yeah, we'll be there for Max shows. Like I'm actually looking forward to them, like Green Lantern and stuff. But yeah, fair enough, Michael. I think we all feel the same. This regime at CW is not very good. Okay, shout out to Gary. Gary is here. He sends in 2 super chats.
Wait. I'm gonna close my eye and I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna
Yeah,
guess.
that's the first question.
Okay. Iris, something with a pump, something with feeding, and a baby. I'm guessing.
Wow, you got it bang on. Now, what's your answer?
I'm the one breastfeeding Nora. Move on.
That was a good answer.
I got them. They're right here.
Yep. All right,
Gary, you need to go find a space on the internet and where you can enjoy that stuff. I don't know how many times Ben can answer this question.
Yeah, I think you need to spice it up a bit, Gary. Can't.
No, I think he needs to spice it down. That's what I think. That's what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Maybe let's chat about something else. This is a good question, Gary. Thank you so much for the second super chat. He says, "Is Superman not getting a season 4?" Well, Gary,
tax write-downs. Tax write up. That's
yes.
what he was going to do. They're going to film 10 episodes. Yeah, they're going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care if Doomsday and Clark are fighting on the moon. We're going to, we want some money back.
Yeah, let's cancel it now, even though they're filming it. But yeah, Superman and Lois is getting a season 4. They are filming it right now. They're on episode 4. That's what, as far as I know. And so they've got like a decent amount of time still left. Also, it's going to be coinciding with Superman Legacy starting in March. There were some photos of them doing like table reads. Actually, that's something interesting. The logo. Did you guys see the logo?
Yeah.
I woke up to it. One of my friends had messaged to me, and I was like, I was still sleeping. So I was kind of like, what is this to do with King? What is it? A Kingdom Come comic? And then I'm like, no, wait a minute. There's a cat. It's a table sign for one of the actors. I'm like, the fuck? Are they allowed to do this?
Yeah, I was very confused as well. I was like, really? They doing this?
I think it makes sense though. I think James Gunn, I think, has been teasing for a very long time at this point that Kingdom Come is going to be serving as quite a strong influence for at least this first chapter and like when it comes to his interpretation of Superman. And I think we spoke about this, Ben, a few weeks back, but I think the suit that we eventually are going to see on David Corenswet is going to be very inspired by the Kingdom Come suit and look. Like, I don't think it's going to be obviously like the older Superman, obviously with like the grey streaks in the hair and stuff like that. But I think that particular logo, which you can see on screen there.
I haven't seen. I saw a black and white version. So have there been like different like colors on each of their?
It's been only blue for everyone. I haven't seen David's
I saw a black and white one this morning. This is the first I'm seeing of the blue and black one.
Yeah, I think I saw a black and white one as well. I think it was Isabella Mona's chair, so the girl who's playing Hawkgirl. She posted it as well. I could be wrong.
And Eve's is blue as well. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Isabel's is black and white. So that's the
one I saw.
Maybe this is for the other heroes, and then the blue one's for Eve, who obviously is not going to be a good person in this, and then the engineer, she bad. I don't know the character from the comics.
But she's from the Authority, so I think she's going to be more along the lines of villain than this. But it depends what James Gunn does with the Authority, because I think they could have
morally gray
anti-hero. Yeah, I think they're like anti-heroes. I think
because he got pissed. He got like annoyed when the casting came out, and I think Deadline had said, Superman Legacy taps new villain. He's like, I don't know why you would call her a villain because she's from the Authority, but she's in the movie.
So she's like I don't know, not a perfect hero, I guess. But anyway, so it seems like they're color coding it, and we can just talk about the logo. So do we think this is going to be the actual logo on his suit? Because there is something that I find interesting. I believe there was, I can pull it up on the screen because I had it on my Twitter. It was basically,
Oh yeah. Let's see what he was DMing.
it was basically, if you look at this old Bitsy Tulloch script from Superman Lois, they had a totally different logo. So do you think it's like a similar case where it's like,
I think that would make more sense because when I saw the logo and people were making this assumption, I'm like, nah, this feels too easy. James would never make it easy for us.
yeah,
So like,
it's like
I think it would be cool because I know that My Favorite Superman, they kind of have like not exactly like this, but like something similar where it doesn't look like a traditional S. So I'm like, and if they do this, this would be great. But I'm almost thinking like, I feel this is too simple. This is too easy, like for us. Like, I don't think James would just like let them reveal like that, and then this is actually the logo they're using. So because I actually forgot about that S that they had for Superman Lois. And it looked so weird when it first came out. I'm like, but we've already seen his S in the Arrowverse. So, but I wouldn't mind if it's this one. If it's red and black or red and yellow, it's. I mean, I did like when they did the little thing with red and yellow for Brandon Ralph. But yeah, I feel like there's like it's a red hair. I think he's just trying to mess with us. That it's like, nah, it's not going to be this logo. It's going to be something else.
Yeah, I think it's just, like you said, a bit too obvious just because James is totally going to do like a proper suit reveal before it gets leaked. Like, he's way too savvy on the internet to be waiting for a leak. And like you said, it's just too obvious. Like, why? He's definitely told them, go ahead, post, build up the hype, and show people the logo. So it's definitely part of his plan. Don't you guys think, like, 100% he's told them, like, surely, like, there is no way they all post this at the same time. Like, yeah.
I still think there's a very strong chance, though, that the logo that we eventually get and the logo that's going to be on the suit is going to be not too far afield from that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Obviously, this early in production, like when you see stuff like this, particularly on the back of like cast members' chairs and stuff, there's always these kind of early art mock-up things which don't come into fruition. Like, that's perfectly normal, and I'm sure that's what this is. But again, I think that the eventual S that we see on the suit, it is going to be very reminiscent of this and reminiscent of Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
So I do think it's there's something to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar. So we'll have to wait and see. But the logo looks cool. I like all the teasers. Obviously, they're going to get started pretty soon. We're nearing the end of February. Got 7 days left. So yeah, hopefully we get to see some more stuff soon. Let's talk about Gary Superchat. He says, "How are y'all? Do y'all have kids?" I think we can say no.
Not in this fucking lifetime.
Yeah, not right now.
Ben, who's my son?
Yeah, apart from me. Okay. Thank you so much, Gary. I really appreciate the super chats. And if any of you guys want to send in any other super chats, please be sure to send them in now. Let's move on to our next topic. So our next topic is in regards to some recent comments that I saw, and it kind of blew up a bit on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw this, Andy and Deck, but also you guys in the chat. People claiming that the CW ruined DC. Did you see anything like that?
Yeah, I've seen it for 10 years. I've seen it for 10 years. It's nothing new.
What do you think about the recent comments? Like, it just came out of nowhere.
I'm so sorry, but like, I don't know if this is just me looking at it with rose-tinted glasses, obviously just being a lifelong fan of the Arrowverse, but
yeah,
the CW did so much better for DC than the movies did ever. Like, the fact that, like, I know the CW and like the Arrowverse didn't have the huge global kind of TV show reach where everyone was watching these shows, but the fact that these shows had a consistent fan base and they were always doing like these kind of new and exciting things, and bringing light to these characters, and the crossovers and stuff. Whereas the movies in the same time span and same time period were just releasing these movies that weren't very good or had a lot of mixed reactions, and were pissing a lot of fans off.
And flopping at the box office or doing really
and
well.
flopping at the box office. Like, I feel like you can't, like, I know the CW is not for everyone, and I know obviously the style of those shows, they were obviously very character drama focused and whatever. But I think it's so unfair just to be like, oh, the CW ruined DC. I just think that's simply not true. Like, they did so much for DC in the past sort of 10 years, which the movies, in my opinion, never even really got close to doing.
Yeah.
Not on the same level.
I feel like the Arrowverse just did so much more than what the DCU did, like just in terms of building up actual fans. Like, yeah, the CW shows never did that well live, but like when it released on Netflix and stuff in different countries, people always watched them. And it was just very, very restrictive about where you can watch it around the world. So obviously Americans could watch it, Canadians, and, it would come to like Sky in England after. But yeah, the Arrowverse shows, they have such a big impact. I would argue you would not have a Supergirl being as important in the DCU as if we didn't have Melissa Supergirl. Supergirl wasn't the most popular character, but I think Melissa built that up. I think the Flash, maybe you would have got a Flash film eventually, but I don't think.
But it would never have gone into the reason the Flash IP is now so much more valuable is because of the show. I mean, again, I don't want to promote piracy, but the Flash was what was I think the most pirated Arrowverse show of all time. So and again, as soon as it got dropped on Netflix, internationally, I would see reports about it being like in the top 5, top 10 for weeks, and a lot of the shows actually. So
it's amazing. Like, I was rewatching The Flash the other day in Hungary because they have it in Hungarian Netflix, and I downloaded it. I was watching on the plane. It was just so good to have it be so accessible, right? Andy, sorry, continue.
No. I was the only thing I was gonna say again, because I don't know because I've been having to put up with this nonsense for 10 years. So again, I don't know what the latest kerfuffle was this time, but I guess I would say, I think the beginning of the DC, because I'm a fan of both, and I will happily defend the DCU being like at least like financially more profitable, but it was never stable, which is where I think the Arrowverse always thrived, and they were stable. You knew they stuck to a formula and kept building out their franchise for as many years as they could. So not every character on all these shows were maybe done as well as we would have wanted them to, but like the fact is that there was more consistency with the Arrowverse than there was the DCU in the end.
Right.
And I mean, the only thing they share in common is that neither of those two franchises are getting a proper conclusion. It's just because axing, canceling, or whatever it is. So I don't know what the latest why this became a racing thing again. But again, this is something I've had to see for 10 years anyway. So so it's like I also just think it's funny that as soon as a superhero movie, for example, if it looks bad in the trailers or whatever, the number one comment to go to is, oh, this looks like a CW show. I'm like, first of all, it's not what do you think CW are made of? $10 and toilet paper? No, it's these are millions of dollars being invested into it. And it's again, let's remember the Arrowverse was the friend that again back during Invasion and Crisis on Earth X and all these crossover, this was some of the most hyped up stuff of all time. It's just that as soon as the Arrowverse got a little more progressive, they're now it's CW woke or cheap or whatever. It's
people just have an agenda against CW.
And the thing is 90% of the people who are complaining about CW looking cheap, these people are never gonna be able to accomplish anything like this in their lives. They're not gonna go and make $1 million worth of costumes or working on sets that are super, whatever it is. So again, I must have missed this completely. Again, I'm not on Twitter that much these days anyway. But the fact that again they're bringing this up, I'm not shocked. I would say something new at this point.
Yeah. And I feel like what the CW did and what people call the CW look, Superman and Lois kind of defied that. It looks like really high quality kind of HBO style. But the thing is with the CW look, it was never bad. You have to understand, to shoot a TV show, to shoot 20 episodes plus a season like the CW used to, it takes a hell of a lot of time, and they got to go quick. They had so many shows, and it was a formula to be effective, time effective, to get the shows out and focus on the stories, focus on the characters. And that is ultimately what the CW and the Arrowverse shows were all about. They were all about character. They were all about building, this universe. And, I think it's admirable that they weren't thinking, okay, we have to spend like infinite amounts of money like a MCU show does, but then only have 5 episodes. Like, yeah, it's nice to have 10 episodes of Superman and Lois, but it was actually, in my opinion, really cool to get like 20 plus episodes. I really enjoyed that back when the CW was.
It's reflective of the era as well. Like, back especially the early days of the Arrowverse, when it was, especially just when it was like Arrow and the Flash.
Yeah.
The kind of high quality HBO-esque style of filmmaking on TV shows, that wasn't a thing then.
No, it wasn't. Yeah.
So like, what Superman and Lois has been doing, reflecting that kind of style, like, the creators of Arrow and the Flash, they wouldn't even have thought to do that because HBO weren't doing that then. It didn't exist. And again, like the 20 episode procedural thing, again, that was kind of what a lot of shows did back then. That's what TV was. I mean, you still had some networks that obviously were a bit more, they were more planned out in that sense, and they had the 10 episode seasons or 8 episode seasons, whatever. But there are many networks that, particularly like the CW or CBS, there are a couple others as well that had these longer form storytelling, and that's what the CW was. So again, I feel like that argument is redundant as well, because it's just you've got to look at these things in a time capsule of when they came out, and I think that the Arrowverse reflects that really well. I mean, yeah, potentially towards the end of its run, of the Arrowverse's run, it maybe felt a bit outdated to a lot of people, but even then, I still feel like the show's changed. Like The Flash in its final season definitely upped its game in regards to like looking cinematic. And like you say, Superman and Lois and Batwoman did that from the word go. So I feel like that argument is just annoying.
Yeah. I kind of Ben. Can you send me like what the latest this?
Yeah, I think I liked it, or I retweeted something to do with it. I'll keep looking throughout the stream and I'll send it after.
Because I'm really curious. I'm like, this is nothing new to me, but I'm also kind of just like, why are they bitching about this time? It's like,
I think it was
what
do
do people gonna do?
Superman and Lois, and Warner Brothers can't, coming in and being like, no. And then someone was like, oh, but the CW ruined DC, and that's what I remember seeing. I'll find it in a minute.
I think
so
it's the
stupid,
CW, like ruining
like
DC. People will say that like it ruined DC, but it also, with the type of audience that the CW had, were people who traditionally weren't that interested in superhero stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that like there are so many fans that they would have converted back then to liking these sort of things and taking a chance on characters that they would have never have heard of or never even have thought to watch a show about. And also, Marvel gets so much credit for the MCU, saying how they started out slow and they built out this universe. That's exactly what the CW did. Like,
yeah,
they started with Arrow.
Flash.
Yeah, and then it's just, they introduced Barry Allen in one episode and people loved him. So it was like, oh, okay, well, we'll do a Flash show. And obviously that ended up being bigger than Arrow. And then they had Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl, and it just all, explored out from there. So the CW just does not get enough credit. I'm not saying it's like, absolutely top fine art or, the best thing ever made, but it did a lot right. It did a hell of a lot right.
Yeah, definitely.
Give credit where it's due, basically.
Yeah.
And again, like, not everything was perfect, and there were times where like, there would be seasons of these shows where I'm like, the fuck am I watching? But the fact is that again, it's not just because I have friends who work on some of the old shows, but it's the fact, because I know how hard it's not. These are not easy jobs whatsoever. But the fact that they were, one of the things that Stephen Amell said years ago that I heartfully agree with is that I think it is more challenging to do 20 episodes of a TV show than a feature film, because I think feature film have way more resources and support than a TV show does. Again, like they had to they had to film in Vancouver. And again, like I said, I think once they start doing the crossovers, those contracts and those scheduling were never easy because you have to coordinate with 5 shows sometimes, and it's I think Oh, there we go. There was
This is it, by the way.
so they're a moron.
They're
Okay,
basically
cool.
arguing that the CW oversaturated the DC market, and that's why DCU flopped. That's not true.
No, if anything, Marvel is just as guilty of it as I think the superhero genre is definitely going through the motions right now, but it's not just because of one corner of this genre. It is because of too many DCEU things, too many MCU movies, TV shows, too many CW shows even. So I think that's why I think the genre is suffering right now. I think we're gonna get back to it like a new normal of like where it is still successful, but it's like, is every movie gonna make $1 billion? No, they're
No.
not. Is every TV show on Max or Disney Plus gonna be explosive? No, but I think that the audience is never gonna die. But they just specifically say it's the CW's fault. No.
No, and I like this reply that someone did to it. They said the CW hasn't done damage to DC brand; it actually helped it, which we all agree with. It's because, like they said, like B-list characters that you kind of just maybe heard a couple of times, they got big because of this. Like, I would argue, even like the Suicide Squad. No, wait, even Birds of Prey. Like, would Black Canary be in that? Would she without Laurel? Like, I don't think so. Like, yeah, Arrow's big. She would appear in an Arrow film, but Arrow wasn't even that big before either. So yeah, I do think we're all indebted to CW. And to be honest, I was a fan of DC before. I'd always liked Batman and Superman, and I liked Young Justice and Batman the animated series. But it was really the CW that got like me properly into characters, because they introduced to us so many characters. And obviously over the years they developed those characters, and you got to really attach to a lot of them. So yeah, anyway, I think the Arrowverse.
I will add one thing though, is that this, I think all CW deserves more credit because we had Smallville. If Smallville had never been successful, the Arrowverse would never have happened. So again, like the CW has since 2006 up till now really been a key factor in why. Because when Smallville was on, there were no other superhero shows. But as soon as Smallville ended, they were trying to do a Wonder Woman show on NBC. They were trying to do a Hulk show on ABC. They were trying to do a Deadman show on Fox, a Spectre. Like, I remember this. They were trying to do a Boosted Gold show. So again, that's the impact that Smallville had. And then the Arrowverse happened. And then what happens? The Defenders finally happens on Netflix. So again, it's damn, fuck these people. Like they have nothing better to do than go complain about franchises that they clearly have never watched.
Yeah, screw these people for real. Like they don't watch the network. They just hate on the idea of the CW, and they think it's just different. But also, some DCU films are much worse.
Not to get like too sappy, but like the CW and the Arrowverse has had such a big impact on so many people. And I'm talking about people like us, right? Where, like, I had been doing YouTube for years before I started watching the Arrowverse shows, but it wasn't until I started making Arrowverse content when my channel actually went somewhere, or it actually did something. And also, like, even on a more personal level, like, I wouldn't know you, Ben.
Yeah.
And there are many people there are many people I can say people who to this day I consider really good friends of mine. I would have never met in my life if it wasn't for the Arrowverse and this community. So like, I know that's not really relative to the conversation, at large, but it just annoys me when people like kind of try to downplay the CW and its impact on people and the world in general. When it had a lot of big impacts, but also had a lot of smaller impacts as well. And I think that's also just as important,
Yeah, and it built like communities. Like, there is so many people out there that like were super into Legends or super into Supergirl. There was, like your Arrow faction who liked the kind of more darker side of the CW. And then there was the Flash. And, there was some crossover, like some Flash fans like Supergirl, some Arrow fans, maybe like Batwoman when that came around. Yeah. So,
well, I even noticed even in the YouTube space, like talking about factions and stuff, like different YouTubers had the different factions. Like you, Ben, like obviously you had like the Supergirl fandom primarily.
Yeah,
and like Paigey like primarily had the Flash, and
And
I
Arrow.
remember like an Arrow, and I remember I personally like I had for some I don't know why it was this way round, given the fact that Arrow was my favorite, but I for some reason had the Legends audience. I don't know why, but I used to make like a lot of Legends content, and that was always the stuff that did well. So yeah, like that was always really fun to look at as well.
Yeah. And obviously Andy's podcast, that wouldn't have happened, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I owe my career, a lot of my career, I owe it to the Arrowverse. You know, like there's a reason. Like whenever I, like fuck it, like I will join you in getting sappy too. Like I have made so many social media. Like no, listen, because I think that's beautiful and I think it's accurate because it is relevant on so many spaces, both just what we're seeing on screen, but also like the cultural impact it has in our lives. You know, for me, like I set out the Flash podcast to be just a fun project because I want to talk about a DCTV show and. I never knew for the love of me that I would get the attention of Grant and Candace and Greg Berlanti and a lot of the Daniel Panabaker and Eric Wallace and all these people that some of them I even call friends now, and like it's insane. Where like now like people yes, I'm doing other things, I'll be covering other things, but a lot of people will always know me as the Flash guy, or AKA the guy you go to when you need me to yell at Eric Wallace for some reason. Is getting like I have no power. Listen, like I could DM him and say they think this, and this, and this. What is he was never gonna listen to me. But either way, but joke aside, like I think a lot of us owe a lot to the Arrowverse and the CW for what it's done for us. Because now like Ben is, he's a future filmmaker. He's going to all these festivals and stuff, and that's why I love. That's why I'm more of a TV guy than a movie guy because again, we get to spend traditionally 6 months of talking about what's gonna happen next week. What are these fears? Like what are these Easter eggs? Or what's gonna happen? Or who's dying? Who's coming back? All these things. What dumb shit is still gonna say next week? Said no one. But it's like again, it kept us going, and I think that I'm excited to see that happen with James Gunn's DC universe, and I hope But yeah, I for me, I agree. I think that to be so dismissive of it, like I'm sure some of these haters have probably like they saw like that one bad scene in Naomi, and they're using that as a reason to call all the DC shows trash.
Yeah, they like hopped in like Arrow season 4 or something like that.
No,
like this is CW, but no. No, it's literally the same for me. Like I wouldn't be where I am today, like doing film work as well without the CW. Like I watched that before I got into the films really. So, it's been a long time, and obviously my channel, it's definitely supported me in a good way over the years. Like I've been doing it for like since 2016 now. So I just was like you, Andy, and I was like, I just really wanted to talk about it. I remember just, always after the Flash going online and, looking at videos like Pagey and Emergency Awesome and stuff and being like,
oh my God, Charlie, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that. I would also go look at like, I would,
not heard that name in a while.
Yeah, no, I love Charlie. He was like one of the first people I had on the Flash podcast, like when I was like doing season 0. Like, I would always like as soon as that Flash had aired, like I would go see like what fears does he have and so on.
Yeah.
But
no, the same for me. I was like just inspired, and I was like,
well, I know you're real. I know your real origin story. The thing is that you were a huge fan of Glee, and you loved Melissa Benoist on that show.
I didn't watch it until after.
Well, like no, hold on. Like, there's no point of lying to these people anymore. You were a Gleek.
No, I was after, yeah,
and then you were like, oh my God, Melissa from Glee is gonna be Supergirl. Like, yeah, I am so into Supergirl now. And then
from Glee is the Flash.
Oh my God, the day when he got cast, I was like, fuck, Sebastian Smythe is gonna be Barry. Because I love Grant as an actor, but I hated Sebastian with a passion. But then when he came on Arrow, I was like, oh, he's so sweet, and Oliver is not, now he makes Oliver look like really, really shitty.
Yeah.
Thing is, I can't let Ben be alone in this. Like, I also love Glee, and
listen, I grew up with Glee too. I came out because of Glee. So like, I'm, I mean, Glee is mostly trash because
Oh, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but fun.
Fun trash.
Good songs.
It was the Madam Web for TV.
Yeah. I mean, I'd
think
argue
Liam
Glee was better,
twice.
but
I mean, I don't know. I think I would rather watch Dakota Johnson than Leah Michelle at this point. So,
Okay, at this point, yeah, but not in the past, right?
I mean, if I had known that she was a terrible person back then, I would have been like, fuck Rachel. She can, yeah, because I used to love Rachel, but then I became more of a Santana fan. May Naya Rivera rest in peace. But yeah, but then once all these stories are coming in, I'm like, fuck, like we had 6 seasons of this trashy woman, just like, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
we are on such a tangent. I never thought we'd get here.
No, me too.
All thanks to Grandma Melissa.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything else I was gonna say? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Big tangent. I've really lost my train of thought. But Mike sends in a super chat. Hey, Mike. Thank you so much. He says, "Are you upset we won't see Superman versus Black Adam?" Obviously, that was set up at the end of Black Adam with Henry. Let's go to Andy first, the resident Snyder fan.
You know what? Being a Snyder fan is actually cool. So I'm gonna say that. I was pissed off that we didn't get Superman versus Black Adam. I would love to have seen Dwayne and Henry just duke it out. I just feel so bad for Henry that they're like, yeah, go ahead and tell people that you're coming back, and then what happened. So no, I'm disappointed. I remember seeing that scene in the theaters and because I loved the Black Adam movie altogether, but yeah, seeing that scene, I'm like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Also, like when you have two, for me, like when you have two muscular straight men in tights fighting, I'm like, that's a good porn to me. So why not?
Yeah. No, I love the ending. I thought it was so good. Like I was properly hyped. I was like, oh my God, like we're gonna get Black Adam versus Superman. It's gonna be sick. Obviously Henry back. That's cool. Like I'm not Henry's #1 fan. I really like him, but I was super excited to see it. And yeah, I just felt bad. But at the same time, Henry's a big actor. Like he's doing so much. But he did like that Argyle film recently. It was so bad. Have you watched it yet?
I haven't had time yet.
Did you watch it, Dave?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's.
It was
I didn't. It's really bad. I didn't hate it, to be honest with you. Like just watching it, like I don't think it's a film I'd ever watch again. But just watching it, I was like, yeah. I mean, this is like really dumb fun. But I'm also someone who enjoys the second Kingsman movie. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
But I mean, is the second King's movie? I have never seen those movies, but is the second one that?
It's so like the first one is quite highly regarded and is considered to be a good movie, and then the second one went way too far and was really silly and over the top, and that's kind of what Argyle's like.
And he hasn't gone back from that since, the director.
Okay, wait. If we talk in DCEU terms, is Kingsman 2 the equivalent of Wonder Woman 1984?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was great. Wonder Woman 1984.
And they both have Pedro Pascal, funnily enough.
No, really?
Yeah. He's in the second one.
Oh, Pedro Pascal. Yeah, he. I think that dude will be. I think he'll be doing fine.
He's cast with the sequels. Don't cast Pedro Pascal on your sequel, guys. Even though he's great.
I mean, I'm sure he will do fantastic.
Okay, Bradley has been a member.
Oh my God! Of course, it went over Ben's head. Like the like I could see Dega appreciate it, but I was kind of like, well, Ben gets it. He's like, I gotta read his other face.
Wait, what?
I'm sure Pedro will be fantastic.
Marvel reference. See,
you little himbo.
You can't say Marvel references to Ben. He doesn't get them.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit delayed on those Marvel references, guys. I apologize.
You work for Disgusting Film. You follow Twitter. You must have seen. Hey,
of course I saw the news. I see all the news. Don't worry. It just went over my head.
Yeah. Or he's gonna I wasn't online on Valentine's Day. I was hanging out with my girl. Why would I be on Twitter to read some announcement?
I was actually going to Germany. But yeah. Bradley says, I'm glad the Arrowverse is ending. Time for a change. Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, do you guys have faith in the DCU? Do you have faith in James Gunn? Like, I have faith in him that he's going to make good films and stuff and good TV shows, but I don't know how I feel about, like, as a universe as a whole. Do you guys have proper faith that he's going to make something as, you know, not unique, but like something as like the Arrowverse, like addictive, like you want to go back to the next project to see what's new.
I think he will. I feel that he is, you know, again, like I mean, I was just always a supporter of what Zach was doing before Warner Bros. Interfered and everything, you know. But again, I like James Gunn as a filmmaker for the most times, and you know, I think that this is the direction that they need to go in. Like, we need a fresh start, and I think that some of the part of all the parts they announced so far, like I'm excited for all of them. Like again, like like a Wonder Woman prequel show, like showing us that like the political sides of Themyscira, like. Fuck, and I've been begging for Boost to Gold project for like I don't know how long. So I have faith. Again, I think it's unfair to say is it going to be as special as unique as the I think all of these franchises, the MCU is unique from the DCU, the DCU is unique from the Arrowverse is unique from the DC shows on HBO Max or HBO or Netflix. So I will say I can agree with Barry saying that it's time for a change. I just wish that we could I wish it was on our terms for the Arrowverse to go out, than it being related to corporate stuff and so on. Because I'm like, fuck yeah, I wanted a last crossover. I wanted to be like at least one, like feeling that, you know, I got a conclusion with the Flash. I haven't got a conclusion with this franchise, and it's because of corporate bullshit. So
yeah,
rant over.
Fair enough. Cal is here. Cal sends in a super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Cal. Also, Danny is here, another member of the channel. Shout out to you guys. We're going to be ending the stream in just a minute, so please be sure to send in any final super chats. Do it right now, because we got one final topic I want to discuss, and this is in regards to Brandon Routh as Superman. And did you see the comments recently that Mark Guggenheim was making?
This is the video I got halfway through making.
Okay.
Your nephew was like,
getting to finish it.
And then nephew Yukimi was like, you don't know what's about to happen with Superman Lois, why it got canceled, and then delete.
Yeah.
Your nephew knew something was coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what do you guys make of it? Do you believe that Mark talked about this with Brandon like a while ago? I don't get the impression that they chatted about it recently and they were like, oh yeah, let's make a new project. I feel like this is just a comment that he's randomly put out there just to try and get some attention. What do you guys think? And do you think if it were to happen, would it be a TV show or film?
I think I agree that I don't think this is a conversation that happened recently. Yeah, I imagine this all happened probably on the set of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It would definitely, if it were to happen, it would definitely be a TV show, for sure.
Because of
yeah, like Mark Guggenheim doing it, and like Brandon Routh, he tried as a movie star, but it didn't work. And that's no offense to Brandon. I love Brandon, but he clearly the world didn't. But I would love to see this. I've said it multiple times. Brandon, honestly, I could make an argument that he's my favorite Superman ever. I just love him. Like, I love him as an actor, and I love his interpretation of Superman and what he did in that Crisis crossover as the funnily enough, like the Kingdom Come version of Superman was amazing. I love like his suit that's my favorite Superman suit in live action ever.
Really
love it. So I would absolutely love to see this. And the only troubling thing about this is that I guess Mark Guggenheim would be behind it, and he's obviously the one behind like the worst seasons of Arrow. But
yeah,
as someone who is a fanboy, yeah, I mean, one of the best. He did do season 5, so
and season 2 and season 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I as a fanboy of Arrow, I love every season pretty much. So like, I wouldn't necessarily
even 4.
No.
I mean, you well, thing is, you might be new to this, Andy, actually, but I actually don't have season 4 as my least favorite season of Arrow.
What's your least favorite season?
Yeah, now I want to know. We're not leaving until you tell us.
I didn't think I'd have to bring this back up again, but I guess we'll do it. I'm going to get some hate comments in this chat in a minute. My least favorite season is season 8.
I'm never coming back. Fuck this dude. I like season 8 was like when I was like emotionally invested in Arrow, and I'm like, don't
get me wrong. I cried in pretty much every episode. I just don't like it as a final season of Arrow.
What, like Green Arrow and the Canaries episode?
Yeah, I think they focused way too much on crossover setup, way too much on like the future spin-off show that we didn't even get. And what annoyed me is I said this at the time when the show was airing. I said, why are we focusing so much on this future thing? We may not get it. It's not a guarantee. And then a year down the line, it got cancelled, and everyone was on Twitter going, "Oh, this is why they shouldn't focus on it at the time." I'm like, I fucking said this at the time.
But
and
also, we didn't know
crazy.
We didn't know a pandemic was coming, because I think that's what really killed it in the end.
I mean, that might be true, but I still think it stands. Like, I don't understand why in the final season they didn't, especially because there were characters like Renee and Dinah who had been on the show for years who got really no conclusion in that final season. They got no screen time. But the characters that did were like these future kids who had only just been introduced. I didn't like it. And I also hate the fact that Oliver Queen technically died not on his own show. I know it was the Arrow episode of the crossover, but it was still a crossover. I find that incredibly weird. I didn't like
you know what, that's how us Flash fans felt when Oliver Felicity decided to go and ruin their wedding, and it wasn't even on our show. So
that was bad.
Sucks, doesn't it?
I mean, if anybody watching wants to know my full thoughts, I've got a 30-minute rant on my channel from like 3 years ago when it came out about why season 8 is the worst season of Arrow. Go check it out.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, it's definitely not the best season. That's for goddamn sure.
I think season 8 is for me. It's like, I think also for me, like, I didn't know what other stories I would want from Oliver at that point. I like the fact that he was a crucial part in setting up this crossover, because I feel like we had 7 great years, mostly. We had 7 years. Let's just say that it's 7 years of his time, and I felt like, okay, if he is meant to die, and the fact that they stuck to it, I was impressed. I was really impressed that they stuck to their gun about it. So. I will defend season 8 till the day I die. And the thing is, like, I didn't know I was gonna be like, fuck, I care about these kids. I'm like, shit, Oliver being a father. Like, I saw when William came out to Oliver, and Oliver gave him like the biggest approval. I'm like, why the fuck am I caring again?
There was so many great scenes in season 8, and I also think the season 8 premiere is is like a top 10 episode of all time.
Yeah,
I absolutely love the premiere. I just, like I said, I don't love it as a final season. I just think there wasn't enough conclusion for me for some of the bigger characters. And also it's the fact, I mean, in fairness, the Flash went back on this and they did save it. But the fact that in the final season of Arrow, like, Diggle didn't even get to say goodbye.
Yeah.
That pissed me off to no end. The fact that, like, especially because Diggle wasn't even there when Oliver died, and they reference it in the crossover. Like, when he finds out that he's dead, he says to Sarah, he's like, "I wasn't even there."
Yeah,
both times.
Both times, like, he died twice, and I wasn't there for either of them. And like I say, the Flash does fix that in the final season. They do get that last goodbye, and that scene meant the world to me. But yeah, there's many reasons why I don't like season 8. But
yeah, fair enough. I feel like I'm just super happy, and the only reason I'm okay with the Arrowverse going away now is because Eric Wallace and the Flash like properly wrap stuff up. Like, I know Superman and Lois is not going to have crossovers. I know that they're not going to wrap up the Arrowverse because it's already been wrapped up by the Flash. So I'm very grateful for what Eric did, because I think he truly cares, and it was really nice to have that moment with like Oliver, but also with Diggle, like you said, and just between everyone. Like, it was just a nice way to end kind of the Arrowverse, but also the end of the Flash. And so, yeah, that's definitely why I think, the Flash had a better ending. The circumstances were right. Eric knew that the Flash was ending. Obviously, I don't know what the situation with Arrow was, but I remember when they announced it, didn't they say, this is the final season, but it's like half the final season, and obviously Crisis it was leading up to. So
I remember when they just said they were ending, it was essentially season 7 was originally going to be the ending, which is why when you watch season 7, it does kind of feel like that, like the season 7 finale.
That's why I don't feel the same as you. I got my ending with Arrow, and I feel it was like a nice like bonus season where, like, and also it was great to see. I generally thought it was great to see Oliver getting more involved with the multiverse. So again, like you were saying, I think the season 8 premiere is like probably one of the best episodes of Arrow of all time. Again, I have been one of Arrow's biggest critics, and again, I sobbed and cheered so fucking much throughout those 10 weeks, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is happening to me? Like, I'm like, fuck, I'm like out because I knew Oliver was dying and everything, but I'm actually invested now. Like, because again, I loved Arrow season 1 and 2 so much. Like, again, I remember like I was actually living in London when Arrow premieres. I would watch it. It was hard to watch Arrow live in London in 2012 because I was asking my landlord, I'm like, hey, do you guys have CW here? And she's like, my dear, what is the CW? And I'm like, oh no. And then it was funny to find out that it was going to come to Sky after I moved from London. So yeah, again, I get what you're saying, Dak. Like, we all feel the way we do, but I felt I got my conclusion with Arrow with season 7. I'm like, at least when they went into season 8, it was on their term because Steven, it was Greg Berlanti who basically had to like convince Steven to come back. He was like, well, I will come back if I'm in. Well, technically, he was only in 9 episodes of season 10. He wasn't even in the backdoor pilot. So, but I do understand the criticism about the backdoor pilot. Because I'm like, well, if they had known about the pandemic, I'm sure they would not have. 1, they would not have put it at episode 9. But 2, I don't think they would have done that at all. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much does it. We're over an hour now.
This week.
Huh?
Many tangents this week.
Yes, many tangents, but
that's what happens when I get on. So
yeah, well, we had some really interesting conversations. Nice looking back at the Arrowverse. But yeah, that pretty much does it, guys. Go check out Deck. Obviously, DC Central hopefully finishes that video that he's been teasing all live stream. Would like to see that, and also go check out Andy on social media, Screen Rant, and everywhere else that Andy is.
People will definitely want to check out something I'm posting on March 1st. Is all I'm going to say.
Okay. On what? On your Twitter or?
If I have a handle at any social media app, you will see it.
Okay, so
I will shove it down your throat if I have to.
Okay, so it seems like it's a big deal. Well, I look forward to that, and we'll be back next week. Should be back on a Thursday as normal. So yeah, no problem with that. So hopefully you guys are around. But thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate everyone who sent in super chats and who just was here throughout the live stream. We'll be back making normal videos tomorrow and the next day after that. Got video ideas already. But for now, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.